Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Mark Lin. Namaskar, coming up in the next 30 minutes. PM Modi endorses US President Trump's Gaza peace plan as a pathway to lasting stability in West Asia. The US Congress races to avert a shutdown as midnight deadline looms. The GOP needs a Democratic support amid threats of mass federal firings. A suicide bombing and gun attack killed 10 in Quetta. Paramilitary headquarters is targeted. Dozens injured, 4 attackers shot dead. The US President Donald Trump has unveiled a new peace initiative. It's aimed at ending the ongoing conflict in Gaza. The proposal outlines a multi-step approach, including an immediate ceasefire, the release of hostages, and a phased withdrawal of Israeli forces. Backed by international partners, the plan seeks to stabilize Gaza and pave the way for long-term security and reconstruction. However, the absence of a formal response from Hamas, who claims not to have even received the plan, has raised concerns about its validity and prospects of meaningful engagement.
Thank you very much.
US President Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu have agreed a new peace plan for Gaza, warning Hamas to accept it. The plan proposes an immediate end to military operations, with Hamas releasing 20 living Israeli hostages and the remains of more than 24 dead hostages within 72 hours in exchange for hundreds of detained Palestinians. The White House peace plan for Gaza excludes Hamas from any future governing role and leaves the door open for an eventual Palestinian state. Hamas is yet to comment in depth, saying the group is yet to receive the plan. Speaking at a joint press conference, Trump said that Netanyahu had agreed to back the Gaza peace proposal. Trump said they were beyond very close to forging an elusive peace deal that he hoped Hamas militants would accept.
Today is a historic day for peace, and Prime Minister Netanyahu and I have just concluded an important meeting on many vital issues, including Iran, trade, the expansion of the Abraham Accords, and most importantly, we discussed how to end the war in Gaza, but it's just a part of the bigger picture, which is peace in the Middle East, and let's call it eternal peace in the Middle East. I also want to thank Prime Minister Netanyahu for agreeing to the plan and for trusting that if we work together, we can bring an end to the death and destruction that we've seen for so many years, decades, even centuries, and begin a new chapter of security, peace, and prosperity for the entire region.
Netanyahu endorsed Trump's proposal to end the conflict in Gaza, describing it as a critical step towards peace in the Middle East. Netanyahu warned that if Hamas rejected the plan, Israel would act independently to achieve its goals.
I believe that today we're taking a critical step towards both ending the war in Gaza and setting the stage for dramatically advancing peace in the Middle East. And I think beyond the Middle East, in very important Muslim countries. I support your plan to end the war in Gaza, which achieves our war aims. It will bring back to Israel all our hostages, dismantle Hamas's military capabilities, end its political rule, and ensure that Gaza never again poses a threat to Israel.
In a joint statement, the foreign ministers of the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Egypt, Jordan, Turkey, Indonesia, and Pakistan welcomed the efforts to end the conflict in Gaza. France, UK, Italy, and Germany have wholeheartedly endorsed the peace plan. The announcement of the plan comes just days after Netanyahu attacked the recognition of a Palestinian state by multiple Western countries during a combative speech at the UNGA. Dozens of officials and diplomats staged a walkout as he took to the UN podium. The US framework is supposed to shift the momentum back to the negotiating table, but it will still likely require many weeks or longer of painstaking work to develop it into anything close to what Donald Trump says it can deliver, which is a full end to the conflict. Anamika Pandey's report for DD India.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has welcomed President Donald Trump's announcement of a comprehensive plan to end the Gaza conflict. On the microblogging site X, the Prime Minister said, and I quote, "It provides a viable pathway to long-term and sustainable peace, security and development for the Palestinian and Israeli people, as also for the larger West Asian region. We hope that all concerned will come together behind President Trump's initiative and support this effort to end conflict and secure peace," unquote. Qatar said that it was set to hold talks with Hamas negotiators and Turkey on Tuesday to discuss the US President Donald Trump's Gaza plan, with a Foreign Ministry spokesperson Majid al-Ansari saying that Hamas would study it responsibly.
The negotiating delegation promised to study it responsibly, which is what is happening now. Even today, there will be another meeting with the presence of Turkish side as well as the negotiating delegation. All of this is aimed at consulting on this plan and pushing, as we said, towards an end to this war through this plan.
Kremlin on Tuesday said that it supported the US President Donald Trump's 20-point plan to end the war in Gaza. The Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said that it hoped President Trump's Gaza peace plan was implemented and it would spur peace in the Middle East.
We do want this plan to be implemented, and we hope it will help steer events in the Middle East towards peace. If you're asking whether the Russian Federation is participating in this plan, no, it is not. There have been no signals from the Americans about it. We maintain our contacts with all the sides of the conflict.
The Israeli ambassador to India, Reuven Azar, said on Tuesday that India has a significant role to play in Israel's development. He also praised Prime Minister Narendra Modi for welcoming the peace plan proposed by the US President Donald Trump to address the Gaza crisis. The ambassador Azar, he also emphasized that India's capabilities will contribute greatly to the region's progress. Let's listen.
We are very encouraged by the Indian position because I think we share the same values of rejecting terrorism, fighting radicalism, de-radicalizing, building a better future for the people through development, through empowerment of forces that are committed to peace. So all of that, I think, is something that we share. And India can also contribute a lot because you have capabilities. You know, only 2 or 3 weeks ago, we had here a huge delegation from Israel that invited Indian infrastructure companies to come and build Israel. We're going to issue tenders for more than $200 billion in the next 10 years. And also Gaza will require a lot of capabilities. And I hope that India can play part of it.
The federal shutdown looms in the United States after President Donald Trump's talks with Democrats had failed to yield any breakthrough on Monday. The U.S. president met with top Democratic as well as Republican congressional leaders in a last-ditch effort to prevent a shutdown before October 1st deadline. Now, the two sides left no closer. They were left no closer to resolving this problem. The Democrats' demands to extend health care subsidies and reverse Medicaid funding cuts included in Trump's signature tax legislation passed earlier this year. The Senate is expected to vote on the House-passed bill to extend government funding on Tuesday ahead of the 12:01 a.m. Wednesday deadline to avert a shutdown. The bill would keep the government open for another 7 weeks while Congress finishes its annual spending bills. Despite the Republican majority in the Senate, the GOP leaders need at least 8 Democrats to vote for any funding measure to overcome procedural obstacles and opposition from at least one Republican senator, Rand Paul of Kentucky. A shutdown would, in fact, delay The release of key economic indicators, including the monthly employment report, scheduled to be released on Friday, and at least temporarily furlough hundreds of thousands of federal workers, while other government employees are forced to work without pay to continue essential services. The Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said on Tuesday that Moscow did not believe that Washington had taken a final decision on supplying Tomahawk cruise missiles to Ukraine. Lavrov said that the United States, that the U.S. is talking about the matter, and it looked like it was the result of pressure from Europe, and that Washington wanted to show that it was talking to its allies and taking their opinions into account.
I believe this is primarily the result of European pressure on Washington, and Washington wants to show that it is taking its allies' views into account. I do not think we are dealing with a final decision yet. The US does not supply Tomahawk to just anyone. Among the European countries, if I am not mistaken, only Spain and the Netherlands have received them. They are being somehow cautious about the rest. And if they consider Ukraine a responsible state that will use them responsibly, that would be surprising to me.
Ответственно пользоваться, то это будет для меня удивительно.
The U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance said on Sunday that Washington was considering a Ukrainian request for Tomahawks. Russia said on Monday that its military was analyzing whether the United States would supply Tomahawks to Ukraine for strikes deep into Russia. A suicide bombing killed at least 10 people outside the headquarters of a paramilitary force in Quetta, Balochistan on Tuesday. The officials said that there were at least 31 injured, and amongst them, 5 were in a critical condition. Paramilitary soldiers were among those killed. Well, several gunmen stormed the headquarters after the bombing, triggering a gun battle as well with the paramilitary. Provincial Chief Minister Sarfraz Bugti said in televised remarks, adding that the suicide bomber was driving a pickup truck and security forces killed 4 further attackers. Quetta is the capital of the rest of Balochistan province, which borders Afghanistan and Iran. Well, Pakistan-occupied Kashmir remains on edge as mass protests and a complete shutdown entered their second consecutive day. On Tuesday, demonstrators attempting to march towards Muzaffarabad encountered heavy restrictions, with authorities sealing all major roads and suspending communication networks. In Dudyal, Mirpur, the Action Committee declared that the body of a protester would not be buried until the administration concedes to their demands. Across the region, including Mirpur, Koti and Muzaffarabad, the Joint Awami Action Committee has mobilized residents in large rallies and demonstrations reflecting an unprecedented unity in the struggle for rights. The protests underscore growing resentment against the government's inaction, the government's inaction on the committee's demands. Well, tensions in Muzaffarabad flared further when police reportedly opened fire on a rally, killing 3 protesters and injuring more than 22 others. Afghanistan's internet and mobile telephone services were down nationwide on Tuesday. Residents and monitoring services said in the past the Taliban have voiced concern over pornography online, with authorities having cut fiber optic links to some provinces in recent weeks as officials cited morality concerns. NetBlocks, an international internet access monitoring organization, said the internet was disconnected in phases. As on its website, NetBlocks said that Afghanistan is now in the midst of a total internet blackout as Taliban authorities move to implement morality measures. Let's take a look at other stories making news from around the world. Hundreds of protesters returned to the streets of Madagascar's capital on Tuesday, a day after the president dissolved his government following protests over water and power cuts. The United Nations says that at least 22 people have been killed and more than 100 injured in the protests on Monday. South Korea's Everland theme park is drawing crowds with a new zone inspired by Netflix's hit animated film K-pop Demon Hunters. Visitors, many dressed in K-pop idols' costumes, lined up at the gate adorned with traditional Korean decor, and the characters from the film. Well, this movie about pop stars battling demons is Netflix's most watched original animated film. In Ireland's Boyne Valley, blacksmith Tom King is bringing Celtic history to life with fire and folklore. Now, on a farm near the ancient hill of Tara, visitors don sheepskins. They forge iron and they hear old tales of firelight. By firelight. Now, the immersive experience, especially popular with US tourists, offers a hands-on escape from the digital world.
Would you like to have some of this?
Paris Fashion Week kicked off with glamorous runway shows and star-studded events celebrating style and creativity. Stars included Aishwarya Rai, Helen Mirren, and Kendall Jenner, They walked the open-air runway at the Hotel de Ville. The event celebrated beauty, empowerment, and sisterhood and was streamed live on Instagram and TikTok. Still to come here on DD India Live. India showcases the farmer-first livestock strategy at FAO Summit in Rome. The minister highlights smallholder resilience and global cooperation. Nepal targets a clean sweep against the West Indies in the final T20I after a historic series win in Sharjah.
This week on Defence Dynamics, from the rails of India's heartland, Agni Prime raises, carrying a nuclear edge on the move. As the nation strengthens its shield with Anant Shastra QR SAM regiments, a new layer of defence takes shape. With the Kaveri D1 engine igniting India's aerospace dreams, the future of power is truly homegrown. This Wednesday at 8 p.m. only on DD India.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Mark Lynn. India underlined its farmer-centric approach to livestock and dairy at the second Global Conference on Sustainable Livestock Transformation hosted by the FAO in Rome. Addressing this high-level ministerial session, the Fisheries and Animal Husbandry Minister Rajiv Ranjan Singh credited India's progress to people-first policies, global cooperation and the resilience of smallholder farmers.
Under the visionary leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, India has implemented a series of transformative and inclusive initiatives aimed at ensuring food security, improving nutritional outcomes, strengthening livelihoods, and eradicating poverty. The livestock sector has emerged as a key pillar in this development journey, providing sustainable livelihoods to nearby 2/3 of rural households and millions of small and marginal farmers. The sector has recorded an impressive compound annual growth rate of 12.77 in recent years.
India's Department of Biotechnology through BIRAC signed a key MOU with the Uttar Pradesh government to promote Farmer Council, the Uttar Pradesh's Farmer Promotion Council. And this event featured the Union Minister, Dr. Jitendra Singh, highlighting a strong center-state partnership to boost the pharmaceutical sector, biotechnology, as well as the medtech sectors. And the minister said that India's farmer exports They are nearly $27.8 billion, expected to cross $30 billion this year. The domestic market is set to double to $130 billion by 2030. The MOU, what does it do? It aims to boost innovation and investment, supporting Uttar Pradesh's pharmaceuticals and biotechnology growth through initiatives like biotech parks as well as medical device hubs. India's Civil Aviation Minister Ram Mohan Naidu, he unveiled a 12,000 square meter facility for pilot training program in Gurugram, Haryana on Tuesday. It's expected to train over 5,000 pilots in the next decade, supporting the exponential growth of commercial aviation in the country. Jointly inaugurated by Air India and Airbus, this collaboration marks another milestone for Air India, Tata Group and Airbus, putting India on course to becoming a global aviation hub. Addressing the event, the Minister Naidu said that this will give a major boost to the pilot training program in the country.
One simulator roughly costs around 100 crores, so we are witnessing world-class pilot training center here worth over 1,000 crores that we are in. And I believe that this facility will give a major boost to the pilot training in the country, and the numbers also validated. Indian carriers, just like how Campbell has also been reiterating, have collectively ordered more than 1,000 aircrafts in the past 2 years itself, and the overall outstanding order exceeds 1,700 aircraft. I don't know if any other country has these kind of numbers to boast about, but this is what the capacity of India is going to be in the coming years.
The Election Commission of India has released the final voter list for Bihar following a special intensive revision drive ahead of the upcoming assembly elections. The revised list has been made available on the official website of the poll panel. The assembly elections in Bihar are due this year. Germany may be losing some of its shine for startup founders, according to a new study, but despite the challenges, Europe's largest economy is still seen as more attractive than the United States by many. And for more, we are going to be joined by DW correspondent Chiponda Chimbelu from Berlin. Chiponda, which sectors are attracting more investment in Germany?
One sector that is seeing exponential growth is defense. The German Startups Association says that in the first 8 months of this year alone, 878.5 million euros were invested in defense-related startups. Now, in 2020, it was just 1.3 million euros. And that is because the German government has loosened the debt brake. And that is, of course, with a plan to inject hundreds of millions of euros in defense spending over the coming decade. But it's not just defense companies, traditional defense companies that are cashing in. Startups working on drones, laser systems, and artificial intelligence, so essentially technologies that could have military applications, are also benefiting from the surge in investment. But despite that, there are still challenges. It is difficult to access government funds. Procurement in the defense industry can take years because of the long government tender process. And that is, of course, not ideal for startups because they could end up running out of cash before their products make it to market.
Also, what about the outlook? What can we expect going forward?
Well, Germany could, of course, emerge as one of the winners for global talent as more people look beyond the United States. Now, political tensions and, of course, tougher immigration rules are making America less attractive for both professionals and students. But Germany does still have some work to do. The German Startup Association says the country needs to be doing more to encourage innovation. And there are 3 major priorities that founders in this country would like to see the government work on. The first one is reducing red tape and speeding up approval processes. And that is, of course, something that always comes up when we talk about doing business in this country. Second is improving access to capital. And after that, lower taxes. So also not a surprise. Now, Germany is, of course, also dealing with many economic challenges at this time. And of course, given the fact that industry, which has been the engine of this economy, is struggling, investing in innovation in other areas could, of course, also be a way for Germany to diversify its economy. So, of course, there is an opportunity there.
Chipondo Chembulu in Berlin, thanks very much. Our next story, Maha Ashtami, that's one of the most significant days of Durga Puja, is celebrated with devotion and traditional fervor across Bangladesh on Tuesday. Hindu devotees thronged temples and puja mandaps. This is from early morning onwards to offer Anjali prayers to Goddess Durga. Now, special rituals, including the recitation of sacred hymns and offerings of flowers, were performed with large gatherings seen in Dhaka, Chattogram, Sylhet, Khulna, and other parts of the country. And the festivities, in fact, will continue with Mahanavmi and also conclude with Vijayadashmi, when idols of Goddess Durga are to be immersed in rivers and water bodies. The cricket team of Nepal will aim to make a historic series victory against the West Indies. It's going to be more memorable for them if they get a clean sweep at their third T20 international, which is going to be played in Sharjah. Nepal created history on Monday, defeating the two-time champions by 90 runs in the second T20 international for their first series win against a full member nation across formats. Nepal, who are ranked 18th in the world, had never played a T20 series against a full member country before this week, and they won the three-match series, and they're likely to win it 3-0 with this game. Well, that's all we have in this edition of DD India Live. Let's know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those of you on the go, get the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app, available on Android and iOS. You can scan the QR code and download it now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. My name is Mark Lin. Thank you very much for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.